Well, hallelujah. Here we are one more time. We all have a front row seat this morning. Yeah, we're not fooling around today. This is different. So I would just like to begin by saying in the past week we have been blessed and we have been a blessing. Last week Terry Friesen shared a very good word, and I've heard so many positive comments regarding it. And we are also able to be a blessing as a church. We did a funeral last Saturday, or a memorial, and for Kay's son, and it just puzzles me about this memorial or funeral thing that we do as a church. It's just remarkable how it's like we have an ability to do memorials. Just like if you could be a fly on the wall and would have been there, you would just be blown away as the people were who we did the funeral for. The comments we hear back are, wow, I didn't think that you would do all that for us. And so I'm just so grateful for the team that put in such an effort one more time to put smiles on the faces of people who were sad because the loss of a loved one, and so be blessed, those who are a blessing, and thank you, Terry, for such a good word last Sunday. Today I'd like to tackle the issue of what is truth, and I would like to dig deep on this one and try bring some understanding to the big picture. What is truth? And I would like to begin by saying that within Christian circles there are lots of differences, and differences lead to something that is not true or not the product of truth. So Jesus said, you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. When differences are the issue and it is the focus, freedom is not a part of the picture. So I'd like to talk about that. And differences are many, many differences. And differences in and of themselves are not wrong. It becomes wrong when freedom is removed from the center. Then differences are wrong. Differences, for example, and very unique. We have Baptists, we have Catholics, and we have Charismatics. We all read from the same Bible, and we use the same Bible to defend what we believe. Isn't that remarkable? And we can get into serious debates, arguments about what is truth using the same Bible. We have other issues that cause division, like now this pandemic. Some people are so this way and some are so that way. So what is truth and how do we reconcile? You will know the truth and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. Jesus said that. If this is true, consider, if this is true, that there is a way to freedom, genuine freedom, mind, emotions, spiritual, physical. If this is true, wow, this is staggering. If this is true, then it is worthy of the most deep and vast consideration possible. And I would call for 1 minute of silence in the world. No talking, no music, all motor vehicles shut off, cars, trucks, excavators, tractors, motorbikes, silence, all aircraft grounded, big planes, little planes, watercraft anchored, big boats, little boats, jet boats. So in this utter silence, can't stop the birds, let's ask the question, what is truth? And why is freedom hinged on truth? If we would ask that question, in every country of the world, hands would go up. Every country of the world, hands would go up, and people would say, I know the answer. The answer is Jesus. Consider that the world is highly religious. There are 4,500 documented religions. 5 of these religions dominate the world stage. Christianity, of these 5, is the largest. So, I've gone over a minute so the world can go back to talking, music, motor vehicles, airplanes, watercraft. Fire up that jet boat. Let the mountains quake at the sound of its roar. To say that Jesus is the answer. And now I will speak to our church family and to the vast audience out there in cyberspace, all 3 of you. To say that Jesus is the answer and that we have been set free is far too simplistic. Quite frankly, when I survey the church globally, certainly nationally, certainly in the West, I have more questions than I have answers. If Jesus is the answer, why are there so many questions that have no answers? Before I comment too much on the negative, I will acknowledge, I will give credit where credit is due, that there is success in places. There is success in countries, without question. Success, probably more so in third world countries, countries that are deprived economically. More so in second world countries, countries that struggle under communism. The issue that I first question is spiritual in nature, causes great division, and does not reflect the qualities of freedom. The first one is, why is there such a clear and riveted focus on the condemnation of fellow believers because of what they believe and who they associate with? The same person who levies this condemnation would be the first one to say, God is love and Jesus can set you free. This same person obviously and only has the capacity to love those who have the same mindset as they do. This, my friends, is not a picture of God's love, and nor is it a picture of freedom. I'm sorry. It's not a coincidence that in John chapter 17, an entire chapter devoted to Jesus' last prayer before he's crucified, he begins by praying for himself, he prays for his current disciples, and he prays for those who will yet believe. That would be the current church today. In verse 20 of John 17, Jesus says, I pray for those who will yet believe, and I pray that they would be one. That they would be one. Father, as I am one with you, and that they would be one in us. He doesn't pray that for his current disciples, for possibly the first century church, but absolutely it applies to us today. And he says, I pray that they would be one. Interesting. So I have a news flash. Heads up, Christians. The most common telltale sign of a cult is when someone in a very authoritative way says, I am right, and you should follow me only. Christian, be wise. This kind of thinking does not lead to freedom, and it is not the way of truth. Don't misunderstand me this morning. I don't raise this issue because there is something going on in our midst. But rather, let us not be so naive to assume that these ideologies don't exist in the broader context of the church. There are many issues out there, many issues, many opinions, many reflections. And if we push them to the extreme, they will divide. They will separate us from a quality of freedom that is possible in the context of the church. Let me conclude with these thoughts and these questions. What is truth? And where does wisdom lie? Where is wisdom found? And a pat answer like, you will know the truth and the truth will set you free, is not sufficient. Pat answers don't solve deep problems. They do not solve the deep differences held between fellow Christians. So what is truth and where does wisdom lie? I'd like to offer two suggestions. One that we should do and one that we should avoid. God is love. Jesus only did, he only said what he saw his Father doing and saying. To follow Jesus is to follow the way of love. The golden rule, Matthew 7 verse 12, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. 2 Corinthians chapter 13, the love chapter. Keep no record of wrongs. Esteem others higher than yourself. Paul summed it up well in 2 Timothy 2 verse 23. He says, avoid foolish and stupid arguments. Stupid, wow, I can use that word, it's in the Bible. Avoid foolish and stupid arguments. That really sums it up, whether we're talking about a spiritual difference or something natural, like this virus going on right now. Avoid foolish and stupid arguments. And I got a hair in my mouth. I don't know how that would happen. Something that we should not do. It's very simple. One that we should do and one we should not do. Do not yield to human nature. And by that I mean, now that sounds really trite and simple and pat. By that I mean, do not depend on your goodness and do not depend on how religious you are or can be. Of the 5 religions that dominate the world stage, Buddhism, Hinduism, Muslim, and New Age, those 4 are hinged on their followers being good. Good is huge in those religions, and to be religious, to ardently follow after, pursue, and be very religious, that is preeminent, that is important in these religions. Christianity is not a religion. It is not religion-based. It is relationship-based. We're going to pray. You come up here and you sit down and be good. Stop running around and you have bad breath. Christianity is relationship-based. It is a relationship. It is not a religion. In Christianity, it is not our goodness that is important. It is the goodness of God. That's what's important. Christianity is hinged on God's goodness, not our goodness. Beware of human nature. It's not our religious effort that brings success, but it is the zeal and dedication of Jesus' life and ultimately his death. So this is it in conclusion. Jesus is the answer. There is a way to truth and ultimate freedom. A freedom that cannot be explained unless it's experienced. This is how it's achieved. This is truth. When we mix love with the finished work of Jesus. This is truth. And only. We do not yield to human nature, to the divisions, to opinions, arguments that only divide. We mix love with the finished work of Jesus, and therein lies freedom. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Be blessed. Be encouraged. Put a smile on somebody's face this week. And good news. There are good things happening with regard to the church. There is hope. We are going to be gathering. Hallelujah. Scaredy cat. Hallelujah. You need freedom. You need freedom from being a scaredy cat. Hallelujah. Good dog.